Chuck. Good evening, David and Chuck here on the David and Chuck Show, Thursday night, the 28th of September. Where is it going, Chuck?
Time?
Yeah, my gosh.
Yeah, it goes quick. We were just talking the other day.
Yep, and I see that you are not at home.
Right.
I see that you and Deuce are at the
No, though we don't know where that location is.
We do not know the secret location that you're at. But hey, how's it going so far?
You're not on.
Oh.
We're on.
It's not showing.
But anyway, how's things going? Janet's messing with me while I'm here.
But it's
Right.
not
Everything's
going.
good.
You're not on the air.
Oh man, Janet says you're not live, but it's telling me I'm live and we got people watching. So anyway, a good week down in Winston.
Right.
And we got a big week of Mountain 7 football. My goodness. We talk about time flying on, and we got East, just real quick, because we got a lot of things to cover tonight. East Henderson's open. We're going to jump right into it, okay?
Got it.
We've got I'm texting our special guest as I'm talking here. So anyway, let's jump right into it. Franklin at Pisgah, and I misspelled Franklin in my rush tonight, so I want to apologize to the people at Franklin. If I can, let me try to spell that right before I bring it up on the board. There we go. There we go. And welcome to our sponsors. As always, we've got the best sponsors. We've got the best sponsors. We got Crumpton's Auto Mart. We've got Orchard Coffee and Sutton and Sons Antiques. And we'll talk a lot about that, about the break, about halfway through, about our sponsors. So thank you very much. But let's jump right in. Franklin at Pisgah.
Well, you got a 2-0 Franklin team in conference play. Had a slow start to the season and had a big win against Tuscola, but they're feeling good about themselves at 2-0. And this is exactly what we thought. Franklin, don't discount the Brooks brothers down there at Franklin, coming into a very heated, intense rivalry at Pisgah at Memorial Stadium. Pisgah 1-0, coming off of a bye week, 5-0 overall. Power rankings out for playoffs, and Pisgah's ranked 1, so they got a lot to play for. Obviously, but all that stuff aside, they just want to beat each other. Both teams want to come in. They don't care what they're playing for. They just want to beat the other team. This may be one of the most intense rivalries I've ever faced or ever seen in high school football between Franklin and Pisgah, no matter where it's played. Tuscola and Pisgah is a very good rivalry. It's been big, but this one right here is just genuinely a hatred for each other. So this ought to be a very intense football game. I am interested to see how Pisgah comes out of the bye week, and if they can generate the offense. And we saw what Franklin has, as far as they're going to, pretty much ground and pound, and they'll have a game plan and they'll execute.
Yeah.
That game.
They do a really good job. They're good up front, and going to be interesting to see. So, what's your thoughts on that, real quick?
Well, I think Pisgah's going to win this football game. I think if they do have a slow start, they'll win by a touchdown. But I think that they can put enough points on the board to maybe change Franklin's game plan and chase, make them chase. So I think they could. I think it's going to be something like a 21-10 game. That's the way it feels to me, about 21-10. Both teams play defense. But, I think that the guys on the offensive line, They got a kid on the offensive line. They got Helmsley and they got David Brooks, 6'5", 300, and that's legit, 6'5", 300. They are very good on the offensive line at Pisgah, so you can do a lot of things when you got a good offensive line. So I think it's about 21-10. I think it goes to the Black Bears.
Okay, there you go. And good for them that they're playing at home and not playing in Franklin. That's
Right.
about all I'm about that. Next game, West at Smoky. I still believe until proven otherwise, and I say it every week on our show. Don't say it on the Saturday stuff, but say it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Everything right now is going to go through Mills River and Coach Witt and those guys. So that's just my opinion at this point.
Well, you're right. You've been proven right about West Tennyson from day one. They are just a juggernaut of an offensive machine, and they can play defense. And so they're very good on both sides of the football. They are just, they are pounding opponents into submission, and they're beating by wide margins very good football teams. So Smoky is home, and again we go back to Smoky has the toughest schedule in the conference. Non-conference and conference play, they have the toughest schedule, and with the opponent's overall record, Ricky has got to find ways to stop that running game down there at Smoky Mountain. They got to stop West Henderson's running game. That's it, period. And if you can do that, you can play with them. If you can't, it's going to be a long night for you.
And your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to go with what they're at. They're about 50 points a game average. I don't see them stopping scoring 50. I don't know how Ricky can generate that amount. It might be like 50-14. I ain't even given that score. How about
I don't know about scores.
How about 35-14, something like that? 3-4 touchdown win for West Tennyson. I'll leave it at that because I don't want the kids at Smoky Mountain to just, hey, they're disrespecting them. Smoky will play them. Smoky
They'll play hard.
Friendly will have them ready. But this is just a different animal that you're facing.
And East is open, and they really need and East needs that week, I believe. And then our game right here, homecoming, the North Henderson Knights and the Tuscola Mountaineers. Homecoming at CE Weatherby. Got rain, sleet, snow, hail, whatever. We're going to have to tailgate down at the lot tomorrow. The menu is not going to be as elaborate as people are used to with me. I've had a tough week physically. I blame all this on my son. I just can't. That my back muscle has locked up, and just what is today? Thursday. Is today Thursday? Yeah. Thursday. So I have been to chiropractors. I have been to doctors. I have been. Janet finally got me yesterday. She took me to Earth Fair and got me some. I used to laugh and call it granola cruncher stuff, and so far it's helped me, or at least I can function. The herbal stuff. Can I tell you what happened to me on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday morning. So I went to the doctor. Remember, I called you on Monday and said, "Man, I'm struggling here. I can't walk." And so they finally went to the doctor after I left the chiropractor, and they gave me a pain pill, and I'm not a pain pill kind of guy. And they gave me some muscle relaxers. Okay. And he said, take one pain pill at night before you go to bed, and then you take these pain pills up to 3, or these muscle relaxers up to 3 a day. And I said, not a problem. I can do that. So I leave Tuesday morning. I got to be at the chiropractor at 6 in the morning, which I'm an early riser, no problem. And I go over there and I say, I got to take this muscle relaxer. And I don't, I'm just an old cop still in my brain. And I read it, and it said 4 milligrams. I said, well, golly, 4 milligrams, that's nothing. I put people in prison. They took a lot of stuff. So I took 2 instead of 1. And that was a mistake. I barely remember driving back from the chiropractor to try to get to the office and made it to the front to the seat in my waiting room, to the love seat that I have for everybody. And I guess I just kind of sat there in the chair and fell asleep for like 2.5 hours.
Mhm.
And it was like 11 before I kind of realized what the heck was going on. Self-inflicted wound. Moral of the story: do what the doctor tells you. Don't ad lib. I'm an idiot. But anyway, uh, tough week. Uh, uh, Tough week in Waynesville. Uh, Getting back to the Mountaineers. We'll see. Homecoming. I think again, the key thing for that football team right now is just be healthy
Yeah, we don't
and
know.
and don't have a clue.
Right. We don't know who's playing. We don't know what the
Yeah,
quarterback situation is. If you go on the premise that you're going to play the same kid that played last week, he played much better in the second half than he did in the first half, which means he's already got those two quarters underneath his belt, and he kind of got into a rhythm.
yeah,
So you don't know where or who is going to be suited up. But if we go a step further, you're going to have to stop the run. We have seen 3 weeks in a row, sort of the veer or a hybrid veer, where they just use 2 plays and they just pound right at you at a certain spot, and they won't stop until you stop them. I think the onus of this football game has got to be on the Tuscola defense.
yeah. Got to
I
get
mean,
off the field on third downs.
right,
Absolutely.
get off on the field, but the time of possession. I mean, looking back since the McDowell game, is that they have been behind the 8 ball on time of possession. You go into halftime and you've had the ball 3 minutes against Franklin. I mean, that's what it is. It's just you're going
Yeah.
to have to play. You're going to have to find a way to play defense and stop North Henderson. Now, North Henderson's coming in limping. They felt good about themselves after the first 3 games, and then they lost 2 conference games, and they got beat soundly by West Henderson.
Yep.
So they're
Well, I'm
probably
going to
wondering right now, are we the real deal?
Well, I'm going to ask you your thoughts on it, and then we'll kind of drive into other parts of our show tonight. I know
Well,
we're kind of going through this quickly, but we've got a packed show.
a lot of distractions this week, and you needed them to be laser focused. I put a lot of faith in Jonathan. I don't. If Jonathan can get the football first and put a touchdown on the board and be ahead and make North kind of chase for a while, maybe the first half they're 7-0, 7-7, 14-7, 14-14, that kind of thing. You can go into halftime, make your adjustment. If North gets up and controls the clock, it's going to be a long night for Tuscola.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. It is what it is.
It is what
Yep.
it is.
But and I go back and say this, you learn a lot when you win, but you're going to learn more and learn who you are and learn about what you're building when you're down on a little bit. Right. So we will see. We'll see how the kids react. I think they're going to react fine. We'll see how the coaching staff is going to react. I think they're going to react fine. I believe they will. We'll see how they react to Jonathan, because he's a different animal. He is different than what they've been around. The kids and the coaches. And I'm not saying people aren't intense, but you spoke with him Saturday when we got off the show. It was he's just kind of that guy. When you played Monopoly when he was a kid. We never finished a Monopoly game because you stole the money, Dad. You stole the money. You hid the $500 bills, and it was that kind of thing. But I think they're going to react fine. Just block out the noise. Stay away from the white noise, and that's part of growing and learning. So give me your pick.
I tell you what, I've got to see a defense. It's not the offense. And it's not the coaching. But the coaching will take the blame. I get all that. But until I see Tuscola's defense, I could see this being a long night, or another one of those nights where North Tennessee can come in and steal this game. That's a possibility.
Well, you know, you are who you are, and you got to make some plays, and you are who you are. But we will see. We will see. And again, it's homecoming, and I really hope people come down tomorrow. Don't if it's going to rain just a little bit in the morning, and we're going to have grilled hot dogs. We're going to have baked beans, potato salad, slaw, chips, desserts, drinks, and just come down and we'll see if we can't have a good time and get ready to go over to CE Weatherby for homecoming. So that's kind of, every year it's kind of cool. And then from there it's time to get to the stadium and let's get after it. So and Chuck, I admire you for sitting there and speaking your truth, because a lot in this situation, on our network, a lot of folks would just say, "Oh well, whatever," and kind of just go. But I appreciate you telling what you think is the truth. Your eyes don't lie. But I believe in those kids, and we'll see what happens. But we're going to cheer the heck out of them and support the heck out of them, win, lose, or draw, at beautiful CE Weatherby Stadium tomorrow night. Now, Chuck Sutton and Sons, when you come into town, we're going to take a trip up there and we're going to bid on some things. We're going to go up there and we're going to get some cool stuff at Sutton and Sons Antiques at 3156 Delwood Road. And then we're going to take you to get your roast, the roast that you want from Orchard Coffee. Because I know that you love the Blue Ridge blend, but I know you want the other stuff too. And then I'm going to bring you down, and you and Angie are going to buy a car from you before you go home. You're going to drive a different car. So no pressure for you and your family. But we've got a really cool show. Listen, we always talk about our high school football. We spend 85% of our time or 80% of our time talking high school football. But tonight we're going to talk a little bit more about college football. We're going to talk a little bit about the week coming up in the Power Five. But we're going to spend some time talking about the Southern Conference, Western Carolina University. And what do you think about that, Chucky?
Well, I'd like to hear all that, that stuff, and also the stuff from the Catamounts. Could it be the turnarounds happening down in Cullowhee?
Offensively, I'll tell you right now, I think yes, but we will see. We will see, because I pull like heck for the Cats. But we've got a special guest we're going to bring on here, and I'm going to introduce him. But Chuck, you kind of give everybody some background about who we're bringing on here as I bring on Mr. John Truitt.
Well, John Truitt is by far, there he is right there.
Hello, John.
He's
How you doing?
Alumni. He's one of the smartest guys I've ever known. The only problem is he roots for that team out of Tuscaloosa. And there he goes. What do you got for us today? He's got a shirt. He bought a shirt for you, David. Rolling in title.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Oh, stop. Nope. Hold on now. I'm not allowed to say what I want to say right now, even though we've kind of got free reign. What if it really came out of my mouth right now, the FCC would blow my computer.
Now, how many titles does Tennessee have? That's all I'm going to ask you. Total. With General Neyland, great coach. How many, if you include him?
6.
6?
Yeah.
That's called 1941 for Alabama. Sorry.
So, no, again, I go back and again, when I see Alabama, I see 2009. I see this kid blocking those kicks, and I see my son's face on national television.
He did not block those kicks. He got kicked in the face by Daniel Lincoln.
Well, I can just tell you this: all I see is my kid's face
I know.
on
I
national
get it.
TV, and I hear my wife what came
They-
out of her when
they-
she saw the replay,
Rocky
and
Top
that'll never leave me.
They deserve to win
Anyway,
both those games.
we're going to talk catamount football,
Yep.
and I am excited about what's happening in Cullowhee early here. Let me bring up my stuff here, Chuck.
And you're bringing up your stuff. Let me say this: is
Go
that
ahead.
John is a world-renowned architect.
Chuck freezes up all the time, so you just
But
got to
also-
talk
No.
over him.
No, it's fine. But something we did not have on the agenda we need to discuss. We lost the best fielding.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Okay. I'm sorry if I missed that
And
part.
let me just tell you this: he's the best defensive player at any position in the history of baseball.
Well, now, do you realize he has a major league record for the most games that he won a 1-0 game? He drove the run in is 10.
Yep. He was my hero, man.
The human vacuum cleaner. I mean, it's not Al Kaline, but we're all good. Brooke Robinson was probably one of my favorite players of all time.
He is absolutely. He was my hero, and we're going to talk about him after we get win.
I didn't mean
college
to jump
football.
into that, but
No, he is. When Chuck sent me the text first before I saw it, it just took my breath away because I'm just that 12-year-old kid watching I'm an 8-year-old kid watching the 1970 World Series and going, "Oh my God!"
Well, he almost killed the Reds in the 70s. He wore them out. I mean, single-handedly.
He was my man.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I didn't want to miss that part. Sorry.
No, we're not going to. It's all. I've got it on my thing.
Okay.
So Western Carolina, the Catamounts, they're sitting at 3-1.
Yep.
And had to play that money game, and the score was not indicative of how well they played against Arkansas.
Correct.
At least in my mind.
Yeah.
But laid the wood to Sanford, really with a miraculous win.
Number 4 ranked Sanford at the time.
Yeah. And a miraculous win up at EKU. And Chuck and I were watching it on ESPNU at the same time, texting back and forth and going crazy. And then Charleston Southern just should have stayed down there and ate a bunch of crawfish or something.
Yeah, well, Charleston Southern, that game got out of hand. But the Eastern Kentucky, I mean, I think it's the first time since Bob Waters was there in the late 80s that we've beat 2 top 15 FCS teams at in 1 year. So with Sanford and EKU and those guys. So,
John, what's the sentiment down in Cullowhee about the football program?
It's crazy right now. I've never had people call me for tickets. I've had 4 or 5 of them this week. And I went over there last week. They were close to a sellout. The energy's high, and I agree. I heard Jonathan. Sorry, David. I heard David say a while ago that the defense, that would be my only concern, but their lights 10 times better than they were last year. But that offense is legit.
Yes, it is.
And I'm talking scoring quick. You got Gonzalez, who his dad is the wide receivers coach at Florida. There, we've got all these kids. Desmond Reed out of, I think he's out of Miami. He's a phenomenal player. And they're a young team. They're super young. I mean, like second youngest team in FCS. If you look at their 2 deep on each side, 44 deep, they got 3 seniors and a graduate student. It's sophomores, freshmen, a couple of juniors, but mostly sophomores. I mean, they're going to be loaded. But the key is when you're at this level is can you keep those guys?
That's what it's all about now.
Before they go somewhere else or keep them in Cullowhee. But I tell you, the environment's different. Kerwin Bell runs a different show. I've been extremely impressed. He came in and cleaned up a hot mess. And I haven't seen that place like that since Coach Waters was there.
I tell you, it was it was and it is tough. It was a tough situation to come into. It really, it wasn't just a 1 or 2 year thing. This is a long time that all this for it to get where it got.
Yeah, and it's just, it's amazing. I mean, Western's ranked 21st now, but they've got Desmond Reed's in top 5 in rushing. Gonzalez, I think, second-rated passer. He leads in passing efficiency at 188.36 for FCS. A total defense, we're ranked as total defense. Finally, I think it's like 30th, but at least we're ranked, which is good. Total offense is number 1 in the country at 577 yards. But a key stat I think a lot of people miss is how many penalties we've had the last 2 years. Like we're talking like 130 some a game yardage and penalties, and they're at like 38 this year. It's a huge swing.
That is a massive swing.
But there's some things that going on over there. I don't want to say it, but we got the juggernaut this week, and everyone laughs because they're 1-3. But Citadel hammers us every year with that triple option. I know they're more to a little bit of a spread option this year. We got them this Saturday in Charleston.
Well, that's a trap game.
It's always a trap game.
Those are trap games, and that's what Chuck and I had talked about last week, didn't we, Chuck?
Yeah. Well, we went over last year, and it was awful. I mean, I think they scored 31 in the first half. And Chuck, we've had many a midnight discussion about if you get to the magic number of 24 in a triple option, you lose.
Yep.
You don't get enough possessions.
Yeah, it's all about possessions when you can play a triple option team that, or a variation of it is that once you get into the second half and you got a size, a certain amount of lead, it's like you can't win this game because they're going to hold that ball 7-8 minutes.
Yeah, and another stat is Western had, I think it's 24-25, don't quote me, trying the turnovers last year. They have 2 in 4 games this year. So you take the penalties, the turnovers, offense running fluid. I feel like they can score on anyone because I look at Charleston Southern, and I think Clemson was ahead. What was it, 17-13 or 24-13 at halftime? 24-17. Western hung 49 on them in the first half. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that if you look at the schedule is you got Furman at home and you got Mercer at home.
That's the big one.
You got Furman and Mercer at home. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, and the only thing I hate about the Furman game is it's on spring break for the kids. So, but now I think the fall break. I think the fall break's a whole week now, so they're trying to get the students to come back. Now, we'll say this: used to when you go to Western games, and I'm not taking anything away from the band because they're incredible over there. After the band played at halftime, everyone would leave. It looked like a Kentucky Derby coming out of there. But this week it did not. People were staying. I mean, we had some people leave, but people were staying for the game. And I think we had, 13,700 this week over there. Right. And I think the next closest was 8,500 in Southern Conference in attendance. Fan support's never been a problem. If we can get a winner over there, fan support will not be a problem.
We have John also is also on the Western Carolina Athletic Board. And with this resurgence, with this turnaround, however you want to label it, it is exciting. Are there things coming down the pipeline for renovations of the stadium?
Yes. And I tell you, I'm not limited in what I'm sort of limited in what I can say. I will tell you this. Within the calendar year, we will be starting on a massive renovation, which is probably going to take 2 years over there.
Wow.
I've seen the drawings already. It's going to be insane. It's going to be like what Mercer has now, Wofford has now. The money, the fundraising's worked out really well. So they're going to be flipping the home side from one side to the other, putting a new press box on the other side, adding seats, the Paul's porch where the end zone is. They're going to tear all that down. New football facilities built in there. Future down the line, probably indoor training facility with the parking lot is behind it and indoor track. and it's going to be quite. We always had a nice track, nice softball, nice baseball facility, but the football facility is getting ready to go big time for Cullowhee.
That is
and,
awesome.
and it's needed because you got to keep up. It's an arms race.
No, it
You know?
is. And we just got the locker room. I think they get dedicated next week for the basketball team. And with Justin Gray there, his what I can say is he's got a good roommate in college named Chris Paul who thought it was good to invest at Western. So there's some things there with the basketball arena that are going to be real. I know they're Wake Forest guys, but don't judge them, David. Okay.
No, man, I'm all about Chris Paul's a good dude.
Yeah. So
He's a good
anyway,
dude,
they're
man.
trying to do some things there to basketball facilities coming up. The Ramsey Center's already been renovated on the outside.
Yeah.
So, but it's all about where the money goes and where the money
That's
comes.
it.
A lot of people get up, they would say, well, we got a new track, but we had a student that ran track after I did over there who her dad wrote the check for the track facility. So if you write the check, you get it first. It's economics.
Well,
Right.
the thing that I worry about is number one, in this new age, and I'm going to sound like Dabo for a minute, but can you keep your kids?
Yep.
Because recruiting is hard. Recruiting in the Southern Conference is hard.
It's very hard.
And now you're going to go out here and you're going to play well. You got kids that are going to do things, and especially your skill kids. Can you keep them? Because now you've got to re-recruit your team. Not the kids coming in from high school. You got to do that too, but you got to recruit your team every stinking year.
Every year.
Every year. You got to re-recruit your roster.
Yep.
And then the other thing is are people going to come after Coach Bell? And that's a legitimate question. If they do what I anticipate them doing, and I hope he stays here, because we don't need to be, and Chuck and I have said this for years, make it a destination spot. Make it a destination spot, not a stepping stone. And I don't see that Coach Bell is a guy that's going to use Western as a stepping stone. I think he's really happy here. But but again, you have to ask that question.
Yeah, and I will tell you this: from what we're taking in at the Catamount Club to what we're taking in now, and when you had 3,000 people in the stands times $45, and you have 14,000 people in the stands times $45, and you're selling alcohol and you're charging for parking, you can make enough, in my opinion. I'm not the AD to pay your coach. The numbers are astronomically better than they used to be.
Because I can tell you this, and I don't believe that and maybe I'm wrong, but back in the day when they had the opening, when my kid was a senior in high school, and they had the opening at Cullowhee, Randy Sanders, who just retired 2 years ago from ETSU, was the OC at Tennessee, and he called my house and he said, "I want this job." And Chuck and I spent a week on the phone. We talked to everybody. And then he called me back and said, "No, I can't take it because, now that was back in the day." But he said, "Man, I really, really, really want that job because I want to stay in this area."
Yeah.
And just, and I keep thinking to myself, man, if we could have had Randy back in the day, what would that, where could we have been right now? But again, I think we got the guy.
No, they have the guy. They have to keep the guy. Now, the key
Yeah.
will be his son, Cade, who's the OC. I could see possibly people making a run at him for first-time head coach somewhere. I'm not saying Division I. I'm saying to get his feet
Right.
wet somewhere.
Right,
But,
right.
or do you stay with his dad, and then when his dad wants to do something else, do you go to that spot or come back? But I can tell you, other than changing the bolts on the seats in the stadium, he's changed the culture. He's changed everything over there.
I love that.
The first meeting we went to, the board of directors were sitting there. They had the players out there. We're all meeting. He walks out and goes, I'm just raised on a tobacco farm. And I think he's Mayo, Florida, or Live Oaks, one of those. And he goes, I worked tobacco all my life growing up, went to college and worked. And he goes, none of you young people knows what that means, but you're going to. And so he went in and got rid of a lot of players, got rid of a lot of the dead weight. I'm not supposed to say that. He went in like Saban went into Alabama in 2006 or 7, whenever it was. I lose track of all these championships. Sorry, Chuck.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm throwing up in my own mouth sitting here.
Yeah.
God.
But no, he is the real deal, is what I'll tell
He
you.
brought his Louis Vuitton with him.
Yeah, he did. He did. He did bring his luggage with him.
John, you're also involved in first of all, let me state that it sounds to me this thing is a completely turnaround, and it's on a major highway moving north. It has really turned the corner down there. And I can understand why all the excitement. But you're also involved in something we've had numerous discussions on, and that is the NIL, which I must say, I read things like on the NIL, John. I consider myself at least an intelligent man, but the legalese of this whole thing. What can you tell us in a simple form? What can you tell us about the NIL?
He cut out again, John. Every once in a while, he just cuts out because he's down there in a place that we don't want to know where he is.
I heard what he said. The NIL, name, image, and likeness, is everywhere now. To tell you, I have a grasp on it. I took a whole seminar on it like one day to explain it, and I can tell you right now, I did a lot better in calculus when I failed it than I did understanding what that was. But I can tell you this: they, speaking freely, I'm not a fan. Just
No.
how it's running right now. I'm not against kids making or doing whatever they need to do, but there's so many. I like the way Western does it. Not every school does this. If I get an NIL deal and I'm a quarterback, I have to report that to the school. But
Really?
some schools, if you get an NIL deal and you're the quarterback, they don't even know you have an NIL deal, and they don't even know who's giving you the money.
Yeah, it's
Well, who is giving? I mean, where does this money come from?
Well, there's a couple of ways to do this. There's 13 agencies or 13 companies who do NIL. Western's with a company called Icon Source. So you would go in, let's say David's a quarterback. We go in, put David Crompton in there. We have all his stuff listed, what he played, his major. You make these real fancy Instagram pages, everything. Everyone goes on there. And if I want to give David $10,000 to be quarterback at Western, I can give him that money on an app on my phone. Okay. On your computer. So you can have all these NIL deals. And in a lot of schools, they don't even know what you're making.
Yeah.
And but if you had a car dealership, you could go into the quarterback at Western and say, hey, I got 4 dealerships. I'm going to give you 30 grand. I want you to come sign for me on, when we have sales or whatever, certain days. You can work that deal out directly with that athlete and not even report it. It's the craziest thing ever. There's no checks and balances. But to Western Carolina's credit, you're not a student athlete there, or you can get in serious trouble if you do not report it to the school. There's a form on the website. You click and go, XYZ dealership. It's giving me 10 grand to come do 2 signings, and it goes through the school and they track it. But a lot of these schools, they don't even know where these guys are getting the money, because you look at Bronny James. Bronny James is getting $6.1 million a year in NIL. Shador Sanders is getting $5.5 million a year. They don't even know where it comes from.
Yeah. There will be changes.
Number 3 is Livy Dunn she's a gymnast at LSU.
LSU.
$3.2 million a year as a gymnast.
Yep.
But she has 12.2 million followers on her NIL account and her Instagram, which are all linked together.
So, John, if I may ask this question, if I had $1 million and I wanted to walk in and give quarterback David Crompton, $1 million, how do I go about giving him that $1 million? And let's say I don't own a business. I'm just a man with $1 million.
Let's just say you're at one of the schools, you're one of the 13 companies. You go to that company and you put that money on that account in there. And I think it holds it 14 days and then the money's available. Depends on how they disperse it. Now, if you're a pro athlete, they take 10% of it. If you're a college athlete, they say they take 0% of it, but they charge a fee. But you got a better chance. I can't find anywhere it tells me what the fee is. And if I talk to Travis Chandler over at Western, he's the AD for compliance, Travis probably could tell me. I mean, what that guy does every day gives me a headache. And we're just Western. I can only imagine if you're at Alabama, Tennessee.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I go back and say this: a lot of these guys, you look at basketball, and we lost a guy from Villanova. He had enough. We're going to lose. And now Chuck disagrees with me, but I don't think Dabo's going to be there next year. I think Dabo's going to say, "Man, I'm done," and he's going to take a break or do something and because he doesn't. It's at the Wild West. It's out of control, and a lot of these guys don't want to deal with it.
Once he doesn't go to Tuscaloosa, I don't care what he does.
Well, hey, look, I knew it was really bad, but if you listened to what Lane said in the preseason.
Yeah,
Lane's had enough. He said, "Man, it's out of control. It's out of control, and nobody's going to put can put regulations on it, and we don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just trying to get to the next day."
Well, I think you'll see. Coach Saban be like that too.
Yeah, I think
it's harder. I think it's harder for the Mike Krzyzewskis, Roy Williams, Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Because they're old school. It's like you bust your butt, you produce. It's my way or the highway, and I don't need you rolling into my practice 5 minutes late in a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And I hate that because I'd love to have a world full of Belichick's, Bobby Knight's, Sabans. That's my kind of coaches.
We're losing them quickly.
So where do you see this? Oh, go ahead, John.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Where do you see this NIL going? Is it going? I mean, it's crazy right now, but where do you see the future of the NIL?
I don't think anyone has that answer. And I haven't asked. I need to ask Travis over at Western what he thinks is going to happen because I know he's in a lot of meetings. It is like they pass something. It's like government. They pass something they know nothing about, and now they're trying to play catch up, and the train has left the station. It's gone.
Yeah, it's already gone. And I'll tell you, my Jonathan said, "Dad, you need to understand. You can whine and moan and say all the things that you say, but the train," and this is a quote from him, "that train has left the tracks, buddy, and you'll never get it back. It's gone. And they can't go back and re-regulate what they never had understood that they were doing at the beginning."
I mean, I read these. We have this thing on Western. You can go on. I send you the link, and they'll have all these questions, and they're like 2-sentence answers. Travis and those guys did a great job over there. But you read through it, and it's no reflection on them. You don't get straight answers on anything.
No.
And you don't know what's going on. I mean, I was telling Chuck the other night, I looked at the top 100 in NIL, and I was shocked who had the most athletes on there. North Carolina.
Wow.
I mean, they got a ton of football players on there. And it may not be, Shedeur Sanders level, but they got a lot of guys on there.
Yeah.
I mean, but here's the thing. Like, if you're a quarterback, David, and I want to send it, I have to send it through that account. I cannot come give you money, but I can give you 10 times as much money through that account.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we're talking about semantics.
Is there a limitation? There's a ceiling. You can give only $1 million, or can you give 10 million? I'm just throwing a number out there.
Yeah.
Could you
You
10
can,
million?
you can give whatever you
There
want.
is no ceiling.
Wow.
No ceiling.
I have
There
another.
is,
This is important to me. I read that you can do this NIL on North Carolina High School Athletic Association.
Correct.
What?
Q Tucker passed that, which is another thing we need to have another show on, is what's going on with the North Carolina High School Athletic Association right now. The state.
yeah.
Yeah. But that's another day.
Yeah,
But
that's a long story.
yeah.
I have to get Chuck prepped before we have that one because
Chuck needs about a week to digest that.
I got to keep him out of jail.
Hey,
So listen.
Go ahead.
Let's go ahead. I want to move on to some other things real quick, and everybody get out the get to Charleston if you can. Get to Mars Hill this week. They're ranked 18th in division.
Yeah, they're doing great
in Division 2, and those are my guys, and those are my friends, and I love those people. They're family to me. But talk real quick about Mr. Marty Clark, and then I want to talk about Brooks.
Now, I want to say this real fast. I had the absolute privilege to go to his memorial service and funeral in Bloomington, and I was blown away. First of all, you're in a room full of people you only see on TV, which is pretty cool. But Marty's eulogy, Scott Grail, longtime friend, Pat Parton, those guys grew up and they knew Marty. They spent a lot more time with Marty than I did. Scott gave a great eulogy, and then it was Tom Allen, head coach at Indiana. It was Cam Cameron, who's the head coach there and at the Dolphins and the Commanders, whatever I'm supposed to say now. And the other guy was Coach Mark Dill, who was unbelievable. He gave a great eulogy, and I want to talk about that again in a second. And also Jack Leggett, Baseball Hall of Famer, college. That's the people who gave the eulogies for Marty. And they have people there, and I think he came to visitation, but I missed him. Anthony Thompson, you got Mike Woodson. I mean, you got people talking about Coach Knight. You have, Marty was all encompassing. I mean, where he came from and what he did is unbelievable. And make no mistake about it, that guy bled black and gold more than anybody you've ever known in Western Carolina. And it was a big deal that he got that hat. Big deal. And he was called Coach. And when he passed away, they said, "What do we do with the hat?" And he said, "That's Coach Clark's hat. It goes with the family."
Yeah, and I
so
know
that was a big deal that you guys pulled that off, and Jimmy got that and gave it to Scott. And Scott and Pat did the cannonball run, if you've ever seen that movie, up to Indiana to get there in time.
Yeah.
But
they took off out of my office in a hurry.
Yeah, and I want to tell this quick story. Coach Dill coached at Marshall. And he was there in '84, and they played Bob Waters, and they were ranked. And they had a bunch of rocks over on the side of the field, and Marshall was getting beat 30-0 by Bob Waters, Coach Waters, and the Catamounts. So they had a big fight in the middle of the field. They started throwing rocks at each other. This is 1984. So fast forward, Marty's at Indiana. Coach Dill comes to Indiana, and he goes, "You the Coach Dill was at Marshall?" He goes, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Remember the big brawl in Cullowhee?" He goes, "Yeah." Great guy. I talked to him like 45 minutes after the service, but he told this story during the service, and he said, "Yeah, I was there for the big rock fight and everything." And Marty said, "Yeah, I was too." So he said, fast forward 2 days later, he's just chewing the team out, chewing everybody out, chewing the tight ends out. Marty walks by and goes, "No wonder your players throw rocks." He told that. But anyway, there was in one of the most touching moments I've ever seen. Marty was there, and he had an eye that you get for winning the Purdue. Plus, he was All-American there. So you get this bronze eye, and he'd won 4 of them. And he took one of the eyes out of his pocket and put it in with Marty. and he, that guy was All-American and everything. So it was pretty touching. I was very grateful I was there for it. And they took Marty through campus past the stadium on the procession to the cemetery. So it was really well done. But Marty, I got so many stories on him, and he's one of the all-time good guys. So,
I wish I'd have been.
Yeah, he's a trip, man. But he was, he started out with Coach Brooks, gave him his first opportunity, Doug Brooks, and Coach Waters hired him, and he's one of those guys that just worked, man. He grinded every day.
That's what it is, man. You just got to put your head down and go.
And he made it. He made it to the pinnacle of what he could do as far as athletics. When you go from washing, clothes and cleaning toilets to assistant AD at a Big Ten school, you've done something.
Yep, absolutely.
So anyway, I appreciate you giving me that time for that.
No, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
And now, what we talked about earlier, man, every time we lose one of them, in our group text, and Chuck says, well, we're all going to die eventually. But man, losing Brooks Robinson, for me, he was the ultimate. But the ultimate athlete, the ultimate baseball player, the ultimate way you carry yourself every day. I never really could sit here and say, yes, I knew Brooks Robinson, but I met him a couple of times when I was about 12 years old. Yep. The Baltimore AA team was in Asheville.
Oh, yeah.
They were there from 72 to 74.
AAA was in Charlotte. Yep.
Well, they were there from 72 to 74. And they were the only time they really hadn't been called the Tourists. It was the Asheville Orioles, the O's. Yep. And all those guys came through. Cal Sr. was the manager. Eddie Murray learned to switch hit at McCormick Field. But after the season, the Ripkins, even though they lived in Maryland, they stayed in Asheville for a while. And there was a FOP camp that he used to take us out by the airport. And it was a Fraternal Order of Police boys camp. And they would all come out there, and they would, I met Jim Palmer out there, met Brooks Robinson, met all these guys that were just my heroes. And, for a kid, for me, if there wasn't all those baseball games on back then, Chuck, you remember, Saturday, the game of the week was it.
That was it. I remember that.
And back when in the prime, Baltimore was on there a lot, and Oakland was on there a lot. And those were my two guys, my two teams. And just Brooks Robinson was, to me, was everything you'd want to be. And as I got older and studied and read, and I can't tell you how many books I have with him and about him and those teams and Earl and all that stuff. My heart's broken. I know that, he was 86 years old and all that good stuff, but man, he was the ultimate Oriole. He was Mr. Oriole. And I love Cal, but he is Baltimore baseball.
Did you hear the Scott Van Pelt story you told?
No. That's the only one I haven't heard.
All right. Scott Van Pelt, I don't know how we are on time. I was going to tell you because I put this out here.
Hey, here's the deal. Listen. I own the thing. We can stay on here till midnight.
No, but Scott Van Pelt put on his Instagram. He said, and I'm going to read this, so I'm going to be looking down. He said, when the Orioles played Memorial Stadium, the PA announcer was a guy named Rex Barney. When a fan made a great catch of a foul ball, it'd say, give that fan a contract. At a game with my dad, Brooks fouled off a pitch. Dad makes a leaping catch. Everyone cheers. Rex does his thing. I'm over the moon. I got Brooks Robinson's foul baseball. I cannot believe this has happened. Next day at school, I tell everyone, obviously, after school, we have to play catch with this ball. Obviously, I figured out I can throw a major league curveball with it, but I can't. I throw it low. My friend can't catch it. Now is when I mentioned I lived at the top of the hill. Ball rolls down the street into a sewer drain. The Brooks Robinson ball is gone. I never told my dad when he was alive. I always looked up to the sky and at this point said, sorry about that, Pop. Oh, Sorry I did that. I tell this story decades later at a charity event in Baltimore. Turns out a man at our table knew Brooks very well. A week later, a box arrives at my house with this and a note. Hope this makes it for the one that got away, Brooks. Signed the baseball.
See, that's what I'm saying. Man, this guy.
And Scott Van Pelt has that on his desk in his office in a case. So I thought I'd tell you that story.
Yeah, it just we have debates that are sometimes get heated, and we've had our debate about each position. We talk about position and who's the top players at each position, and we get to the third base, and I always put Brooks number one, and then Chuck comes back and goes, "Oh, you've lost your mind. He's probably fifth best," and and he puts Mike Schmidt at the top, and I just come on, man, get a life.
Schmidt had a better bat, but it's
but listen, Chuck, listen to me now. Single-handedly won the World Series for Baltimore over Cincinnati. Johnny Bench is probably 70-something years old, and he's probably every night he goes to bed, still he has to have nightmares. Those are doubles. And they were outs, baby. Brooksy.
Yeah, he was phenomenal.
And just a great – go ahead, Chuck. I'm sorry.
Yeah, heroes die away. I mean, he lived a good life. He had a great life, one of the best. And that it shows when these heroes pass on that, people, grown men mourn their deaths, because it takes you back to your childhood mostly. You remember those things that you used to do.
Hey, Chuck. He doesn't remember the third baseman like Travis Fryman, Marv Owen, George Kell, Pinky Higgins, and Ray Boone.
No, he doesn't. Those are heroes.
Yeah, that's right.
They're all good. They're all okay. They were good, but they weren't Brooksy, baby.
Well,
they weren't Brooksy.
He doesn't look the Holy Grail. Who the Holy Grail is?
I'll wear the Al Kaline jersey next time.
Yeah,
oh, good Lord.
Hey,
God.
Who's the only
I love Al Kaline
17-year-old to win a Golden Glove and Rookie of the Year?
Who?
8 years old.
Yeah, 18. Sorry.
18.
Al Kaline.
18 doing it.
Let me update here real quick, Chucky, too, and John. Bottom of the seventh, Baltimore's still up 1-0. Got to win tonight. That'd be number 100 and win the division. Give us the first round bye. That's big.
Hey, you got to give tip of the cap to Ronald Acuna Jr. That's unbelievable what he did last night.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
it is.
74.
Yes, it is, and he's one of our guys that you don't know about our futures bet. So yeah, we're pulling for him still.
Yeah.
But anyway,
no, I didn't want to leave Brooks out because he was
we can't
one
leave
of my
him
top
out.
5 of all time.
Yeah, we can't leave him out. And before we get off here, Chucky, we got live scores Friday that I'm coming that I can keep doing.
Right. Yeah, I got live scores. I'll send them out. I am the scoreboard host, so you will have live scores.
And I keep putting them on this network.
Right.
As soon as I get them.
Right. Absolutely. And we're going to stay on here after we go off the air.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay.
But anything, Chuck, any surprises, any information? Because people sometimes they'll text me or call me and go, well, I didn't hear Chuck have any inside this week. And to be honest with you, I hadn't had time to do much besides just try to keep walking.
Well, the Elma College Scots are ranked 15th and moving up the charts in 4-0, so powerhouse in Division III. And I look over the scores, and the one game I'm going to be interested in, this is insight, is Clemson at Syracuse. Clemson, the last time Clemson lost 3 games, 0-3 start in the ACC. They've already lost to Duke. They already lost to Florida State. If they lose to Syracuse, the last time they did that was 25 years ago. I think it was 1998. They started the ACC 0-3.
All right. Well, listen, again, we are going to go a little long because there are some things I want to talk. And John, chime in here. We're going to and we're going to do these kind of like a round robin quick thing.
Okay.
All right. Notre Dame at Duke. I think Duke can win the football game. I really, really do. I'm not saying they're going to, but I believe they have a real good chance of winning. Chuck.
If Duke wins, I'm a believer, but I think Notre Dame wins the football game.
John.
I'm going Duke.
And
I'm
I just but I think they have a chance. I really, really, really do. Let me get to the.
If I may add, Notre
Yeah.
Dame win if they play defense with 10 players.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
but they played Ohio State, so I don't take that seriously. So
Yeah.
I'm going Duke.
Florida at Kentucky.
That's the nobody's watching bowl.
But I tell you right now, that's at Kentucky, correct?
Florida at Kentucky, noon kickoff.
The Gators are going to tote one up there.
Ooh.
Chucky,
I got Gators.
you know what?
I got Kentucky.
Oh man, it's hard for me to pull for any of those two teams. I'm just going to let you two. Georgia at Auburn.
Oh,
CBS game, 3:30 kickoff.
That's Auburn's just
they're not good.
they're not good. They're just and it's not. I mean, Freeze has got a long ways to go to build it. I think it's all Georgia. Georgia's number one in the country for a reason. They're going to prove it on Saturday.
Yeah.
All right, the Swami Bowl, LSU at Ole Miss.
John,
Ooh, I like Lane, but I think LSU wins. I think Ole Miss is overrated.
I think Ole Miss is overrated, but it's at Ole Miss, correct?
It's at Ole Miss.
I think Lane gets Coach Kelly. I think Ole Miss wins that football game. But
I want Ole Miss to win.
right.
We'll say that.
All right. South Carolina at Tennessee.
Go ahead, John. You love
Oh, I'd love for those Gamecocks to go in there and roll about 40 up on them, but it's not.
But they're not.
Because hey, Lelouch may come through for you. You don't ever know.
who? Lelouch?
You ever see Bull Durham? The guy that throws it all over, Nick Lelouch.
Yeah.
That's Joe Milton.
Well,
Who is, you calling Joe Milton Newt LaRouche?
Yeah.
all right. Who wins the football game, Chuck?
Oh, Tennessee.
Yeah, I think
Who wins the football game, John?
Tennessee.
Tennessee's got some revenge on their mind. I think the Vols.
Yeah, they're not going to put up with what happened last year.
And I don't think in playing in Knoxville, 7:30, the place is going to be rocking. South Carolina's probably walking into a hornet's nest. Pac-12, here we go. Southern Cal at Colorado. The kickoff is at noon our time, which is what, 10 o'clock their time?
And 8 o'clock. Yes, correct. And 8 o'clock, on the time of USC. So they're going to play at 8 o'clock. They're used to that 8 o'clock in the morning. Why are we doing this?
It's because it's a Fox game to noon game because they're going to show Colorado till they can't show Colorado.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's the truth. I got Southern Cal in a high scoring game, but I got Southern Cal.
I think Southern Cal beats them about like 30.
Whoa.
I think they're going to tote the Oregon game again.
Got it.
I don't know that.
No, I mean Chuck.
Listen, I'm fine if Coach Prime wins. I'm not a big
Chuck?
Southern Cal guy.
I love Coach Prime. I think he's they were just flat. They took it, they toted it. But I believe in Coach Prime and that football team now. Because 87 new players, you just didn't know what they had, and you thought, well, the old Colorado. This is a brand new team.
That's still the biggest turnaround I've ever seen in 1 year. Of course, NIL allows you to do that.
Who wins the football game?
Okay, because they're playing on USC's 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, and it's a 12 o'clock our time. I'm saying Colorado wins this football game.
Okay. All right. Kansas, number 24, Kansas at number 3, Texas.
Please, Kansas.
Leopold is just doing a fabulous job. He built a powerhouse at Whitewater, but I think Texas is real, and I think Texas wins this football game.
I think Texas wins the football game, John.
Yep, Texas. They got too much gas. I think they win.
And I'm trying to get some more of the big games. There's really not any left this week.
All right, one more.
Who?
How about the Catamounts versus Citadel? They never beat Citadel, so I'm going to say they break the snide.
Oh, Western.
I'm all on Westerns. I
Yeah.
think Kerwin Bell's doing a fabulous job. He's never been part of this. He doesn't care about past. He's changed it. He's turned it around. The excitement in Cullowhee. But even if they're playing down in Charleston, Western Carolina wins big.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I don't know that the Citadel can contain that offense, and
you got to have the ball.
As
long as we get the ball,
I think they'll be fine.
What about Elma College at Trine University Saturday?
Out the Scots big kilts up, baby, kilts up.
Yeah.
Just wear your underwear.
What?
Just wear your underwear. Kilts up.
Does your coach at Alabama coach in a kilt?
He doesn't have to. You know why he can't wear a kilt?
Why?
Can't hold all that hardware and pull it off of him.
Oh God! If I can't say it, if I could tell you the story that the day that he took the job, and Jonathan was coming, he had called and said, "Hey, come down here. Let's eat lunch." It was whatever day it was. He said, "When you come down," because we hadn't seen him in a month or so. And he said, "Meet me at the complex." And I go and I meet him, and we're walking out, and they announced that he had taken a job at Alabama. And this certain coach down there came out of his office and said, "Blue streak, blue 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 streak. Things are changing in our conference." He was not happy that he took the job at Alabama. He was not happy. And he cussed. He cussed for 2 minutes before he said, "Things are changing now."
Yeah.
So anyway, big Saturday. Everybody go support your teams. Please get out to see E. Weatherby tomorrow night. Please go support these kids. Yes, they're 2-3. Yes, they lost a couple of heartbreakers, and last week was last week, but support them. They're building something. It's kind of they're building something, So everybody keep the faith, keep doing. The support's been unreal. Homecoming tomorrow night. We're going to have the big tailgate party down at the shop tomorrow, starting about 11 o'clock. So an exciting day in Waynesville and all over for football in Western North Carolina and college football. So we will see you guys Saturday, hopefully with a happier show than we had last week. And Chuck, anything before we go?
No. Tomorrow's National Coffee Day, and Saturday is National Orange Shirt Day.
What was today?
National Drink Beer Day.
That's it, baby. I don't know about all these national days. Chuck just sends me these things. But anyway, love you guys. Thank you so much for all the support. Support our sponsors. Come see me at Crompton's. Go to Orchard Coffee. It's truly that good. And our friends at Sutton & Sons Antiques, you're going to get things there you can't get anywhere else. We'll see you guys Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. Have a great night.